to 9-8 runs required. Overpitched and crashed away. That's the first boundary for Flower. He's worked that into the gap. Fielded down at fine leg by Gillespie. Lee to begin a new spell. The required run rate has crept up to around 5.5 and over. Superb shot. He picked the length quickly with that one.
Well, that sends an early message to the bowlers and they need to keep it tight.
Flower is now on strike. Hit straight at Martin. Lee to Flower. Hit straight at Bevan. Well played, but the fielder will cut that one off. Flower moves into double figures with those runs. 48 overs are left for Zimbabwe. McGrath to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 5.5 and over. Stopped by Hayden. They have 48 overs to get. 288. McGrath to bowl to Flower. Pushed into the gap. Batsmen are coming back for two. Picked up on the boundary by Lee. Zimbabwe have taken their total on to no wicket for 12. McGrath to Flower. Pushed into the gap. Well, that'll beat the fielder. It's the first boundary for Masakatsa.
Zimbabwe will be looking to blast away from the start with fielding restrictions in place.
Lee to begin a new over. Now the run rate stands at just over 5.5 and over. Stopped by Bevan. Lee to Flower. Lee to Masakatsa. Lee to bowl to Mazagadza. Stopped by Lehman. A very good over. Only 2 off it in the end. McGrath to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Ooh, that looked quite nasty. Flower is now facing. Pushed into the gap. Stopped by Lee. He's worked that into the gap. That's the end of the 5th over. Lee to Mazagadza. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Oh, well taken.
Well done, the fieldsman. He really backed up the bowler's effort.
Mazagadza goes for 5.
He wasn't there for very long, as his score shows.
Hit straight to a fielder. That was very tight, so the umpire's calling for the TV replay. Those are the first runs for Carlisle. Great job done by the fielder in the deep. A very good over. Only 2 off it in the end. McGrath to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Stopped by Bevan. McGrath at the start of his run-up. Hit straight at Martin. McGrath to Flower. He smashed that away. I certainly saw that one early.
Well, he really latched onto that ball quickly and struck a venomous square drive to the cover boundary.
McGrath continues. Well, that'll beat the fielder. Flower has moved into the 20s and is starting to look far more relaxed. 43 overs are left in the innings. Lee to begin a new over. The run rate stands at just under 6 and over. Lee at the start of his run-up. It's in the air. That's the first boundary for Harare. Didn't quite get hold of that one properly. Picked up by Lehman. Stopped by Lehman. .42 overs are left for Zimbabwe. McGrath to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Hit straight at Martin. He looked as if he was home to me. McGrath at the start of his run-up. Short and smashed for 4. That was perfectly struck.
Gave the batsman too much room there. 4 runs.
41 overs are left in the innings. Carlisle waiting at the striker's end. The required run rate has crept up to around 6 and over. Hit straight to a fielder. Superb shot. Carlisle moves into double figures with those runs. Well played, but the fielder will cut that one off. That's the end of the 10th over. McGrath to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. They have 40 overs to get. 253. McGrath at the start of his run-up. Stopped by Bevan. Zimbabwe move on to 45. Play it away with comfort. hit straight at Lehman. A very good over. Only one off it in the end. Lee to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Great shot by Flower. Really struck that well.
That was a good shot. He saw it early and got into position quickly.
Flower is now facing. Hit straight to a fielder. The score is now 1 for 50. Pushed into the gap. A long hop and punish. Carlisle really punishes anything short.
He played that shot to perfection.
.38 overs are left for Zimbabwe. McGrath to begin a new over. The required run rate is around 6 and over. Stopped by Bevan. And that's out. Caught by Lee.
That was a lazy shot. He'll regret that when he sees the replay.
Great catch. He got his hands in the right place and somehow it stuck. Flower eventually goes for 33.
That's poor batting. He lost his concentration and paid for it with his wicket.
Campbell is the new batsman. McGrath gets his first wicket. Zimbabwe 2 down now for 55. The total is now 2 for 55. McGrath at the start of his run-up. Campbell is now facing. That's over the rope. 6 runs off McGrath. He picked that up beautifully.
That was a super shot. I really didn't think it was too bad a ball.
37 overs are left in the innings. Here comes the first change in bowling. The required run rate has crept up to around 6 and over. That's run away and could well go for 4. Carlisle has now moved into the 20s. The total is now 2 for 65. McGrath to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 6 and over. That's cleared the infield. That takes him into double figures. So they need 229 to win from 214 balls. McGrath at the start of his run-up. He's got onto that one. Real textbook shot.
The bowler didn't do too much wrong there. It was just an excellent shot.
McGrath is proving to be a little expensive. Carlisle is now on strike.
Waiting.
Hit straight at Ponting. McGrath continues. Overpitched and smashed the four. He watched that onto the bat perfectly.
Well, he really latched onto that ball quickly and struck a venomous square drive to the cover boundary.
Warren to bowl his leg spin. Now the run rate stands at just over 6 and over. Zimbabwe are 2 for 78.
Waiting.
Oh, what a catch, Lehman.
Straight down the fielder's throat. The batsman will be kicking himself.
Campbell is making his way back to the pavilion. Flower comes in at number 5. Zimbabwe are 3 down now for 78.
Waiting. Run.
That's a lovely way to get off the mark. 34 overs are left in the innings. McGrath to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 6 and over. The total is now 3 for 79. Flower is now facing. It's straight to a fielder. So they need 219 to win from 202 balls. He's got it into the gap. Batsmen are coming back for 3. That's cut off by Lee. I think he was easily back in the crease there.
Good running between the wickets can add those extra few runs to the total that can really make a difference when it comes down to the wire.
A hopeful shout, and the batsman was easily in. Carlisle is now facing. To 216 runs required. So they need 216 to win from 199 balls. Play it away with comfort. .33 overs are left in the innings. Warren to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 6 and over.
Waiting!
There it goes. That went like a rocket to the fence.
He picked it up nicely and it's got him 4.
They have 33 overs to get 211. Warren at the start of his run-up. That's straight up in the air. That was a very confident shot.
Lovely shot. It raced away to the fence for 4.
Carlisle waiting at the striker's end. Warren at the start of his run-up.
Waiting! Yes!
Stopped by Ponting. He looked as if he was home to me. The fielder's appeal, but he was quite comfortably home. It's in the air. Stopped in the covers. Flower facing. .32 overs are left in the innings. McGrath to bowl the last of his allotted overs. The required run rate is around 6 and over. That's over the rope. 6 runs off McGrath.
Exciting stuff. He took a risk, but was well rewarded as the ball disappeared over the fence.
McGrath continues.
Waiting!
There it goes. McGrath is not impressed.
Thanks very much. 4 runs. The bowler really needs to keep the ball up on this pitch.
That moves the score into 3 figures for Zimbabwe. McGrath continues. Now for 102. It's high in the air. He's getting a standing ovation from this excellent crowd. Harare has reached his 50 from 44 balls. 14 runs came from that over by McGrath. The run rate stands at just under 6 and over. That's straight up in the air. Worn to colour. The score is now 3 for 107. That's the end of the 20th over, and we have a change of bowling. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here.
Wait.
Stopped by Bevan. Super wicket keeping.
Yes.
You're right, Richie. That was excellent running by the batsman, and it really puts pressure on the fielders.
Carlisle facing. The required run rate has crept up to around 6 and over. Stopped by Bevan. Warren to Flower. That's straight up in the air. Steered expertly into the gap. He's worked that into the gap. That takes him into double figures. Collected by Ponting. Got onto that one. That's the first boundary for Flower. 28 overs are left for Zimbabwe. Lee to begin a new over. Now the run rate stands at just over 6 and over. Lee at the start of his run-up. Pushed into the gap. Picked up by Gillespie. Carlisle facing. That's a really superb shot. He picked the length quickly with that one.
He picked that ball up beautifully. The bowler will have to be careful not to put the ball in that area again.
171 runs required. Now the run rate stands at just over 6 and over. It's in the air. These two have now put on 50 for the fourth wicket. Warren at the start of his run-up. He's beaten all ends up by that one. Warren has got the wicket.
He played completely down the wrong line and it made a mess of the stumps.
Carlisle eventually goes for 58. That was a useful innings by Carlisle.
He batted really well out there and provided a vital contribution to the total.
Streak is the next batsman in. Streak takes his place at the crease. That's a lovely way to get off the mark. Hayden reaches it before it crosses the boundary. Zimbabwe are 4 for 130. Warren continues. Didn't quite get hold of that one properly. Stopped in the covers. Lee to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 6 and over. Pushed into the gap. Picked up by Hayden. Lee to street. Streak facing. Hit straight at Hayden. I think he was easily back in the crease there. Lee to street. He looked as if he was home to me. Flower waiting at the striker's end. Nice shot, but it won't make it to the boundary. Flower has moved into the 20s and is starting to look far more relaxed. That's the halfway mark, 25 overs. We're about to see a change in the bowling. The required run rate has crept up to around 6 and over. Stopped by Lee. Gillespie to Flower.
Waiting!
Stopped by Lee.
Waiting!
24 overs are left in the innings. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here.
Waiting!
That's cleared the infield. Street moves into double figures with those runs. Didn't quite get hold of that one properly. The batsmen are coming back for a second. The sweeper picks up. Hit straight at Gillespie. That must be close. The umpire raised his finger and he's out. Flower eventually goes for 20. Lee at the start of his run-up. Gone bowled. Whittall was completely beaten by that one.
What a great sight for a bowler. Stumps flying in all directions.
Whittall makes his way back to the dressing room. The new batsmen won't face for the time being. The required run rate has crept up to around 6.5 and over. He smashed that away. That was a very confident shot.
That was a beautiful front foot shot. The timing was spot on.
Gillespie at the start of his run-up. Streak facing. The score is now 6 for 151. .22 overs are left in the innings. There's a change in the bowling for Australia. The required run rate has crept up to around 6.5 and over. Marillier is off the mark. Streak is now on strike. Short and smash for 4. Streak has now moved into the 20s. That's racing away for 4. Really can't afford to pitch short on this track.
Well, he might have pleased his skipper with that delivery. He needs to keep it tight.
That's gone high in the air. He swept that away for 4 with great confidence.
Well, he swept that away, and the great thing was that he kept it down, had the bat coming down on top of the ball and rolled the wrists on it.
That over eased the pressure on the batting team. Gillespie to begin a new over. Now the run rate stands at just over 6 and over. Not timed perfectly, but they'll get some runs anyway. Gillespie at the start of his run-up. Gillespie continues. That's gone high in the air. You can't afford to bowl that in there.
Well, he smashed that for 4 with a big smile on his face.
Streak waiting at the striker's end. Hit straight to a fielder. That's the end of the 30th over. Harvey to begin a new over. Now the run rate stands at just over 6 and over. A nice shot, but it won't make it to the boundary. Hit straight to a fielder. 126 runs required. He's worked that into the gap. A very good over. Only 2 off it in the end. Gillespie to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Overpitched and 4. That was 4 the moment it left his back.
The bowlers really need to keep it tight at this stage of the match.
Gillespie is back in the attack. That's straight up in the air. He picked the length quickly with that one.
He played that with a lovely straight bat. He'll be pleased.
That over cost 9 runs. The run rate stands at just under 6 and over. They have 18 overs to get. 115. Superb shot. That's the first boundary for Marillier. Harvey continues. Harvey continues. Gillespie continues. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. It's high in the air. Now he needs to get his head down again and aim for the next landmark. There's his half-century.
He's batted very well. Good concentration and technique.
Street is now facing. Pitch straight to a fielder. It's in the air. Picked up very early by Street.
Well, that was short and just asked to be hit.
Short and smash for 4. Certainly saw that one early.
Well, he smashed that for 4 with a big smile on his face.
12 runs were picked up from that over by Gillespie. Now the run rate stands at just over 6 and over. Hit straight at Lehman. Didn't quite get hold of that one properly. Streak is now facing. He was beaten all ends up by that one. Super wicket keeping. Stopped by Lehman. Harvey continues. That's the end of the 35th over. Gillespie to Marillier. The required run rate has crept up to around 6 and over.
Waiting!
The batsman will have to run these. That's cut off by Lehman. Marillier moves into double figures with those runs. The score is now 6 for 203. Streak is now facing. Overs are left for Zimbabwe. Harvey to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Looks as though we'll be in for a fascinating last session. The batsmen are in trouble here. Well, that has to be close. Marillier goes for 10.
Now that the tail is exposed, they need to keep it tight in the field and not give away any bonus runs.
The next batsman in is the right-handed Nkala. The new batsman won't have to face just yet. Zimbabwe are 7 for 205. Ponting is not going to reach that. That's the first boundary for Nkala. Gillespie to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 6.5 and over. And Nkala facing. It's in the air. I certainly saw that one early.
Oh, great shot. That was a pleasure to see.
Stopped by Martin. So they need 84 to win from 75 balls. Gillespie to bowl to Nkala. Zimbabwe are 7 foot 215. Gillespie continues.
Waiting!
Steered expertly into the gap. The score is now 7 foot 216.
Right down.
Over the top and away for 4. That takes him into double figures. That over eased the pressure on the batting team. Harvey to begin a new over. The run rate stands at just under 6 and over. Not timed perfectly, but they'll get some runs anyway. Harvey at the start of his run-up. It's in the air and safe. Oh, that really was a super stroke.
What can I say about that shot? He looks in top form today.
So they need 73 to win from 68 balls. It's in the air. Street really takes advantage of anything over pitch.
That was a really good shot. He looks in top form out there.
11 overs are left in the innings. Gillespie to begin a new over. The run rate stands at just under 6 and over. Gillespie continues. The total is now 7 foot 230.
Waiting!
Stopped by Harvey. So they need 68 to win from 63 balls. Gillespie at the start of his run-up. I think he was easily back in the crease there. It's high in the air and colour has now moved into the 20s. Gillespie continues. Harvey to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 6 and over. They have 10 overs to get 64. Zimbabwe have taken their total on to 7 foot 234. There it goes. That went like a rocket to the fence.
The bowler needs to avoid giving away boundaries, so he must keep it tight.
Zimbabwe have taken their total on to 7 foot 238. Harvey at the start of his run-up. Pushed into the gap. That's cut off by Warren. The score is now 7 for 240. Zimbabwe have taken their total on to 7 for 241. Didn't quite get hold of that one properly. Nine overs are left in the innings. We're about to have a change of bowling with the leg spinner worn. The run rate stands at just under 6 and over. Zimbabwe are 7 for 243. Confident appeal. The umpire's not moving on that one. Oh, I felt that that wasn't out.
Yes, Richie, that looked absolutely plumb. Not a great decision by the umpire.
Go!
55 runs required. Streak is now facing.
Go!
Harvey to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Zimbabwe are 7 for 244. Super wicket keeping. Streak facing.
Yes.
54 runs required. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. They have 7 overs to get. 54 worn to Kala. Harvey to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 8.5 and over. Zimbabwe have taken their total on to 7 for 245. So they need 53 to win from 31 balls. Batsmen are looking for 3. I think he was easily back in the crease there. And that's the end of the 45th over. The required run rate has crept up to around 9.5 and over. The score is now 7 for 248. Warren at the start of his run-up. .50 runs required. Warren at the start of his run-up. There should be some runs here. Streak is now facing. He's got it into the gap. Four overs are left for Zimbabwe. Harvey to bowl the last of his allotted overs. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Streak is now on strike. It's high in the air. Partnership for the 8th wicket is now worth 51. That's too short, and it's been dispatched before. You really can't afford to pitch short on this track.
Perfectly played. He got right over that ball and played it with a nice straight bat.
Three overs are left for Zimbabwe. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Streak is now on strike. Done him all ends up. The batsman got himself into all kinds of trouble.
He didn't even get near that delivery. It totally beat him.
Streak is finally out for 80.